The summary of the fourth Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita, which is the Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, the path of renunciation of action by self-knowledge. In the third Adhyaya, Sri Krishna shows many attitudes for performing Karma Yoga. In the fourth Adhyaya, Krishna talks about the understanding of the wise man, Jnani Purush, how they are involved in their actions and what is their understanding. With knowledge, with the Jnana, how we can renounce our actions, Karma Sannyasa, that is the subject of this Adhyaya. Krishna explains that we need to renounce the results of our actions, the Karma Phala, and not the actions itself, Karma. We need to renounce the pride of our doership, the Kartrutva, while continuing to perform our actions, Karma. Bhagavan Krishna shows us how and why he incarnates and assumes a human form. The selfless actions and attitudes of Karma Yoga are highlighted in this Adhyaya. Krishna then describes the 12 different yagnas and finally says that knowledge is the supreme yagna. Finally, Krishna praises the divine knowledge and shows how the wise person renounces the selfish actions and its results and is filled with selfless and natural actions, Nishkam Karma, by renouncing his doership, ego or Kartrutva. The purpose of this Adhyaya is to have the right understanding towards Karma. It shows us that our spiritual journey starts from Karma and then gradually transforms towards performing actions with the right understanding. Actions need to become selfless as we ascend on this path, and that we need to keep performing our actions without attachments to the results of the actions till we have firm self-knowledge. The first verse of the fourth Adhyaya starts with Bhagavan Krishna's words. He says the knowledge tradition, the Yoga Parampara or the Vidya Parampara, starts with the divine. Imam Vivasvate Yogam. He says this Avyaya Yoga, this imperishable knowledge that he has described, the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga in the second and the third Adhyaya. Aham Vivasvate Proktavan. He says, first I gave this knowledge to the sun at the beginning of the creation. Vivaswan Manave Praha. He says, Surya then passed on this knowledge to Manu, the first human. Manu Ikshwa Kave Bravid. And Manu gave it to King Ikshwaku, who passed it on to the entire mankind. And then he says the knowledge tradition became nearly extinct as times passed by. Evam parampara praptam imam yoga. In this way, the knowledge of this yoga tradition, Rajarshaya viduhu, even the wise kings knew about this knowledge tradition. Mahata kalena saha yoga iha nashtaha. And as time went by, this knowledge became nearly extinct due to the more outwardly oriented worldly approach, bahirmukhata, and becoming extremely busy, ati vyastata, amongst people who started losing touch with this eternal knowledge tradition. And Krishna says, I am telling you that same profound secret knowledge. Sa eva ayam puratanaha yogaha. He says the same original knowledge that I gave to the sun, mayate proktaha adya. I am telling you today, Arjuna. Why? He says, iti me bhaktaha cha sakha asi, because you are my devotee and also my friend. And it is very important to devote to the Lord, to become his devotee, to understand this knowledge. He says, etat uttamam rahasyam, because this is a profound and a secret knowledge which needs to be understood. Listening to this, Arjuna comes up with a very innocent question. He says, how is it possible, Krishna, that you gave this knowledge to the sun? Bhavataha janma aparam. He says, you have been born recently. Vivaswataha janma param. And sun was born many years ago. Iti katham vijaniyam. How can I understand? Tvamadav proktavan. He says that you only in the beginning of this world give this knowledge to the sun. Krishna is waiting for this moment. He reveals his divinity. He shows how he is the all-knower Sarvagnya, Ishvara. And Jiva knows very little, is Alpagnya. He says, O Parantapa, O Arjuna, the great one, who has won over many enemies, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani. He says, I have had many births previously. Tava cha Arjuna. And you have also undergone many births, Arjuna. Tani sarvani aham veda. He says, all these previous births I know. Natvam vidha. and you don't know about these births. He says, and Shri Krishna reveals to Arjuna his divine powers, how as Ishvara, the Godhead, he is the all-knower, Sarvagnya, of all the births of all the beings at any one given point of time. And then in the next three well-known shlokas, Bhagavan Krishna describes his original form of divinity and how God incarnates on this earth. He says, Ajaha api, even though I am unborn, San Avyayatma api, and I am eternal, I am changeless, Bhutanam Ishvaraha api san, and even though I am the Lord of all the beings, he says, Prakrutim Swamadhishtaya, I take nature under my control, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, and I manifest, I incarnate, I take birth on this, take a human form, wielding all my powers, the Maya or the creative energy that I have. And when does God incarnate and take form on this earth? Bhagavan Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati, whenever there is decay of dharma. And dharma in Bhagavad Gita never means religion. It means the righteous way of life. Dharma, dharate iti dharma, something that upholds this society is dharma. It is the right way of living. Abhyutthanam adharmasya, and says whenever there is increase in adharma, tadatmanyam srujamyam, he says, then I manifest myself. One of the main purpose of incarnation is to destroy the adharmi, who want to destroy the system of justice for their selfish and egoistic purpose, and want to destroy dharma, the balance of the society. And what are the reasons of God's incarnation? Bhagavan says, Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect and nurture the righteous, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, and to destroy the adharmi, Dharma sansthapanarthaya, to re-establish the dharma tradition. He says, Sambhavami yuge yuge, I incarnate whenever needed. And Bhagavan says, one who truly understands my incarnation becomes free from the cycle of birth and death. He says, Janma karma cha me divyam, my birth and my actions both are divine. Evam yo vetti tattvataha, one who understands them truly. Satyatva deham, whenever that person leaves the body, punarjanmana eti, he says, does not get any rebirth, he is relieved from the sansara chakra, mam eti, and attains me, attains the divinity. This ultimate fruit of the divine knowledge, divinity, is not easy to achieve and needs a spiritual journey by the seeker, sometimes encompassing several lives. Bhagavan describes this spiritual journey in the next verse. Krishna's birth is divine because it is with his own will, and his karma are also divine because they don't bind him. One who knows him in this way is also liberated from this world. And this requires a spiritual journey, which Krishna describes in the next verse, the entire complete spiritual journey, the Adhyatma sadhana. Vitaraga bhaya krodha, one who has conquered over the raga, the attachments, bhaya, a fear, and krodha, anger. Manmaya, one who has become one with me, mam upashritaha, one who has surrendered to the divine. Bahavaha gnana tapasa puta, and many who have become pious due to the fire or the discipline of the knowledge. Madbhavam agataha, they attain me, they attain my real self, they become one with me. And then Krishna says people get what they desire. Ye yatha mam prapadyante, he says devotees who worship me in any way, tan tathaiva bhajamyaham, I bless them in the same way. Manushya sarvashaha mama vartman anuvartante, all humans, they follow my path, he says. And why many people do not crave or for freedom or moksha, he says, Kangshanta karmanam siddhim, most desire only the fruits of karma. Devata yajante in manushe loke, and in this world they worship different deities. Why? Because karmaja siddhi kshipram bhavati. He says the results of actions are very quick, and we are all attached to very instant results. We want instant results which are available by actions, and we are not prepared to wait for the slow change the knowledge and the understanding brings, and thus we prefer karma rather than the path of knowledge. Then Bhagavan goes on to describe how Vedic dharma has been created by him, the divinity. Chaturvaranyam maya srushtam, he says, I have created this universe with the four varnas, guna karma vibhagashaha. They are according to the three gunas of the prakriti, the sattva, rajas, and the tamas, and karma vibhaga, the duties. They were never meant to be according to the caste or the birth. And he says, Tatsya kartaram api mam. Even though I am the creator of this four Varna Vyavastha and this Srushti, he says, Avyayam akartaram viddhi. You consider me as eternal non-doer. I am akarta. Bhagavan Krishna says this Vedic infrastructure of the four Varna and the four Ashrama, the Varnashrama Vyavastha, which was created for people to reach to the divine, classifies people into four classes according to their attributes and their karma, their work, and into four stages of life based on the individual, was created to create a harmony in the society. And this Vedic system, the Vyavastha, was created so that the society would not have any competition but was conducive for all to attain their final spiritual goal. Krishna says a contradictory statement difficult for most of us to understand here. He says, even though I am the creator, you consider me that in reality I am the non-doer, I am not the doer. And we need to understand that when God does any actions, he has no ego or doership feeling, and that's why he is a karta. And that's why Ishvara is a creator but still the non-doer, and none of his actions bind him. And then one who has the clear knowledge of Ishvara is not bound by actions. Bhagavan says, Mam karmani na limpanti. My own actions don't bind me, Arjuna. Name karma phale spruha. Because I have no attachment to the fruits of actions. Iti mam yobi janati. One who knows me in this way, karma bhirna sabadhyate. He says they don't get bound by actions. And then Krishna tells Arjuna to follow the footsteps of his lineage. He says, Evam gnatva. By knowing me in this way, as akarta, bhukta, asanga, satchit, ananda, swarupa, purvayapi mumukshubhihi, krutam karma. The seekers of the ancient times, they performed their actions. Tasmat tvam kuru karma eva. And that's why you also do your actions, your karma, your prescribed duties, karma yoga, purvai purvataram krutam. Just as your forefathers have done, Arjuna, you need to do your karma yoga. And then Bhagavan is telling Arjuna what is the true meaning of actions and inaction, karma, akarma. He says, Kim karma, kim akarma iti. What is action and what is actionlessness? Kavayaha api mohitaha. Even the most intelligent scholars, they get confused. Tat karmate pravakshami, and I shall tell you all about these actions. Yajgnatva mokshase shubhat. Knowing this, you shall be liberated from this sinful world and achieve complete freedom or moksha. And then Bhagavan tells Arjuna what is the true meaning of action, which needs to be karma, needs to be understood. Karmana api bodhavyam. What is karma? Prescribed actions by the Vedas is worth knowing. Cha vikarmanaha bodhavyam. And what is forbidden action, what should not be done in the Vedas, according to Vedas, is also worth knowing. Cha akarmanaha bodhavyam. As also is actionlessness. What is akarmanaha? What is actionless being action? He says, Gahana karmanaha gatihi. Because the nature of karma is very difficult to understand, comprehend by the beings, and that's why he says, I'm going to tell you. And what is the correct attitude and what is the vision of the wise, he describes in the next words. Yaha karmani akarmana pashyed. One who sees action in the inaction. Say for example, the unwise person, the ignorant person, even in inaction, he is continuously thinking in his mind about the actions, and that's why that is how. And akarmani cha karma. One who sees inaction in action. For the wise person, even while they are in action, they are in their akarta, atmaswarupa, they are in their inaction. Sabuddhiman manusheshu. And this is a person who is wise, has wisdom. Sayukta krutsna karma kruta. And this person is a yogi, who is a wise person, has performed all the actions. Karma kruta, is krutsna, is complete, is fully fulfilled in all respects. In the next 5 shlokas, Krishna describes the conduct of these wise men in this world, how they work with selfless actions, nishkam karma. Of the first, he describes of the householder wise person, the gruhastha jnani. Yasya sarve samarambhaha. They begin all their actions with planning, with thinking, they're all well executed. Kama sankalpa varjitaha. And their actions are not for fulfilling their own desires alone. They are not selfish actions. They are for the larger benefit of the society. Gnanagni dagdha karmanam. And all their actions are burned in the fire of their knowledge. And this tamahu bandhu panditam buddhaha. And these are the wise people, the jnani purusha. because they don't have a doership, kartrutva, they have the wisdom, and they're all their karma, including all their sanchit karma, the deposited karma, the prarabdha karma, the destined karmas which are going to bear the fruits, and the agami karma which are going to happen in the future, they're all destroyed. And how this wise or the grihastha jnani conducts in life, tyaktva karma phala sangam, they renounce the attachments to the fruits of the actions. Karma phala nitya truptaha, they are always satisfied, they don't keep seeking more and more, more and more. Nirashrayaha, they are not dependent on anyone, anything in this world for happiness. Karmana abhi pravrutta api, even though they are in actions, na eva kinchit karoti saha, they don't really do anything because they are firmly steady in their akarta swarupa. And the renunciate wise, the nivritta gnani, has simple living, they have no sins. Bhagavan describes nirashi yata chittatma, they have no expectations, no desires, they have a proper control over their mind and body. Tyakta sarva parigraha, they've given up all their material possessions. Sharidam kevalam karma, they perform only actions for their living, they are all simple actions. Kurvanna apnoti kilbisham, and they do not create any sins, they don't create new sins in this world. And these renunciate wise people, the nivritta gnani, they are balanced, they are not bounded by their actions. Yadrucha labha santushtaha, whatever comes to them by choice, by chance, they accept it as God's will, and they are fully satisfied in whatever they get. Dvandvatito, they are rise above the dualities of this world, they are balanced and they are equipoised in all the dualities of life. Vimatsaraha, they never are jealous for anyone, they don't compare or compete with others. Samah siddhau cha asiddhau, they are same in the success and failures, they are equipoised in their attitude. They can take the failures in the same stride as they take the success. Krutvana apinibhatyate, and they, even though they are in actions, they don't get bound to actions. And now Krishna is changing the subject, is now showing that the wise people, they act with the yagna buddhi. Gatasangasya muktasya, he says, by renouncing all the attachments, they are completely free. Gnana vasthita chetasaha, they are steadfast in their knowledge, their atmajnana, with a lot of awareness, with mindfulness. Yagnaya acharataha, and such a person performs all their actions like yagna. Karma samagram praviliyate, all their actions are burned in the fire of knowledge. And now Krishna is going to describe the 12 yagnas, how the wise person conducts in this world. And this is a kind of for the seekers, they are like goalposts or lampposts for what we need to aim in our life. The first yagna that Krishna is describing is the Brahma yagna. And this is a very well-known shloka to see oneness in all the yagna, Brahma buddhi. And this is also in the Vedic parampara, this is chanted before we eat every time. Brahmar panam brahma havihi, brahmagno brahmanahutam, brahmaivatena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. It says everything is Brahma. All that objects that you use for yagna is Brahma. All the material samagri is offered in the yagna is Brahma. The fire in which it is offered is also Brahma. And one who gives the offering, the yajmana, is also the Brahma. And the results obtained, the karma phala, is also yagna. And the wise person who does all these actions is also Brahma. In essence, according to the Vedas, everything, sarva, everyone, sarva maya in this universe and all time, sarvatra, everything is Brahma. Brahma, as in Vedanta, is the universal consciousness, the Paramatma, the Parabrahma, which is attributeless, which is nirguna, which is formless, which is arupa, is unmanifest, avyakta, unthinkable, achintya, and the most subtle, ati sukshma, eternal, avyaya, all-pervading, omnipresent, sarvatra, unchangeable, avikarya, reality, behind all that keeps changing in this universe. And this Brahma is the substratum or the foundation, adhisthana of the material reality. So now Krishna is describing all the other different yagnas. After having performed this, explained the Brahma yagna, he describes the yagna of devotion, bhakti, which is also very important to attain the divine, to understand this final divine knowledge. He says, all others, daivameva pare yagnam, yoginam paripasate, brahmagnava pare yagnam, yagnenaivo pachuvati. Others perform yagna to please the deities by worship, and others sacrifice their own pride, the jiva bhava, into the fire of the Brahma. And next shloka, Bhagavan describes the two other yagnas, the Gnanendriya Sanyama, sense control, and Vishaya Havan Rupa Yagna, the renouncing, the seeking of objects. He says the five knowledge senses, Shotradinendriya Ananya Sanyamagnishu Juhvati, the five knowledge senses, the Gnanendriya, through which we acquire all the knowledge from the outside world, including the seeing, hearing, and everything, must be restrained in the sacrificial fire of balance. And he says, Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juvati, and we should sacrifice all the objects of desire into the senses of the fire of balance. The fifth yagna that Bhagavan describes in the next shloka is the Manas Sanyama, the restraint of the mind. Is Sarvanindriya Karmani, Prana Karmani Chapare. All the others should control the activities of all the sense organs and all the pranas. Atma Sanyama Yogagno Juhvati Gnana Deepite. This sacrificed into the fire of the inner yoga of balance, and this is illuminated only by the light of knowledge. In the next shloka, Bhagavan describes five other yagnas. The Dravya Yagna, sacrifice all the material possessions by giving, by donating. Tapa Yagna, accepting some Vedic rules to develop discipline, by accepting some difficulties by our own will. Yoga Yagna, others do Ashtanga Yoga practice, the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana. Swadhyaya Yagna, others practice the habit of reading of scriptures on a daily basis like Vedas, Upanishads or Gita Ji. Gnana Yagna, devoting to the Vedanta knowledge pursuit by Shravana, Manana and Nidithyasana. Yatayaha Sanshita Vrataha, one who is serious for change in life, who is aware, who is balanced, who puts in a lot of efforts, is not lazy, and they are firmly resolved in their own change. The Yoga Yagna that Bhagavan describes is a regular practice of the eightfold means of Ashtanga Yoga sadhana to discipline ourselves. And these 8 steps consist of Yama, Niyama. Yama means creating a balance in relationship with the outer world, and Niyama means our own rules to discipline our individuality or individual person. Asana, Pranayama. Asana means the physical postures for flexibility of physical body. Pranayama is a practice for breath and mind control. Pratyahara and Dharana. Pratyahara is the Indriya Sanyam, or the control of the senses, and Dharana is a practice to improve concentration of our mind at one place. Dhyana and Samadhi. Dhyana is meditation to make our intellect steadfast to create the state of thoughtlessness, and Samadhi is reaching the final goal, oneness. And there are 2 types of Samadhi, Savikalpa Samadhi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In the next words, Bhagavan describes the Pranayama Yagna, others who sacrifice their prana into apana and apana into prana, pranapana gatirudva, and they control their prana, pranayama parayanaha. They give priority to pranayama in this life because the mind and our breath are very intimately connected to each other, and thus by controlling our breath we can quieten our mind. This we can practice on our own on a daily basis. Whenever we are upset, if we control or concentrate or be aware of our breath, this can quieten our mind. Then the yagna of balanced diet, apare niyatahara, others who control their diet and sacrifice their prana into the other pranas, and all these seekers who know the yagnas, by the practice yagna kshapita kalmashaha, by practice of these yagnas, all their sins get destroyed. And then Bhagavan says, yagna shishta amruta pujaha, one who performs these yagnas as a prasada buddhi, like a nectar, attains the highest goal, and criticizes those who don't practice yagna, says sanatanam brahmayanti, they know the knowledge, atmagnana, that leads to freedom. But ayagnasya, one who do not practice this kind of yagnas of selfless actions, ayam lokaha na asti, they can never be happy in this world, and they can never be happy in any other world also. And then Bhagavan says that all these yagnas are performed with actions, with karma. Evam bahuvida yagna vitata brahmana mukhe. Like these, all these 12 yagnas that he has described, Krishna says many other yagnas have been vividly described in the Vedas. Tan sarvan karmajan viddhi. Know that all these yagnas are accomplished by karma. Evam gnatva vimokshase. By practicing these yagnas, finally one will achieve the final freedom. And out of all these yagnas, Krishna says knowledge yagna is the best, Gnana Yagna Shreshtaha. Out of all, he says, describe karmas like Dravya Yagna, Gnana Yagna Shreyan. Knowledge Yagna is the best of all. Sarvam Karma Khilam Partha. He says, Gnane Parisamapyate. All the karmas finally end in the knowledge. And how this divine knowledge is obtained, Bhagavan now tells us in this very, very important shloka. We need an ideal, a guru, to get this knowledge. And who is an ideal guru, and what are our responsibilities as a seeker? Bhagavan says that Vidhi, know that this eternal knowledge you should know. This is what is worth knowing. And how can it be known? He says, Pranipatena, by bowing down, by respecting, by giving reverence to the guru. Pariprashnena, by asking the right questions at the right time. Sevaya, and by rendering service to the guru, one becomes eligible to ask the right questions. And then he says, Upadekshanti te gnanam, that guru who is getting pleased by this service and this, by the respect, will give you the knowledge of your own self. And who is that ideal guru? Bhagavan says, Gnaninaha Tattvadarshinaha. These are the two attributes. Gnaninaha means one who is knowledgeable, one who has learned this knowledge by the parampara, the lineage. And Tattvadarshinaha, one who has seen this tattva, one who is realized, already self-realized. And these are the attributes of an ideal guru. According to Upanishad, it is necessary to have both Shrotriya and Brahmanishtaha. Shrotriya means one who is knowledgeable, and Brahmanishtaha means one who is self-realized, to become an ideal guru. And only knowledge will not create a spark in the seeker, and only by being realized, a guru will not be able to transmit that knowledge to the student. And that's why both are essential. In the next 4 shlokas, Krishna describes the real benefit of the self-knowledge. What is the phala of this gnana? The 35th shloka, he says how knowledge destroys all the attachments, mohanasha. In the next shloka, how it describes the sins, the papanasha, how it destroys the karma, karmanasha, and then finally how it destroys all the impurities, the malanasha. Firstly, he says this knowledge destroys all the attachments, mohanasha. These are the benefits of the knowledge. He says, Yajgnatva na punarmoham. By knowing this, you shall not again be attached, or you will not again be deluded. Moha will be gone. Arjuna, the attachment that you just had in the first Adhyaya, Arjuna was quite attached and he was quite deluded. He had moha by seeing his own relatives. Yena bhutani asheshena atmani drakshasi. You shall see all the beings completely in yourself, atho mai, and also in me. And this is the pinnacle of the knowledge, where one will see the sameness everywhere. The second major benefit, Bhagavan says, is that it destroys all the sins, the papanasha. Apichedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyaha papakrutamaha. Even if one is the biggest sinner of all the sinners, one should not feel that I have done a sin or I have done some bad actions in the past, so I am not eligible. Bhagavan says, even if one is a big sinner, but this knowledge is such, sarvam gnana plavenaiva, with this help of the boat of this knowledge, vrujinam santarishyasi, he says one can very well swim across the ocean of sins, the samsara sagar. We can go beyond all the sins by this knowledge. In the next verse, Krishna says another major benefit of knowledge, it destroys all the actions, karmanasa. He says, Yathaidansi samidtogni bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. Arjuna, just as a well-lit fire burns the fuel, gnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute Arjuna. He says, similarly, the fire of knowledge burns all this karma. And finally, the major benefit of the divine knowledge is that it destroys all the impurities of the mind, malanasha, and makes the mind crystal clear. He says, Nahi knanena sadrusham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing more pious than this self-knowledge. Tat swayam yoga sansiddhaha. One who achieves this knowledge by his own efforts, kalena vindati. It takes time. It takes a lot of time. The spiritual journey takes a lot of time, sometimes many lives. Atmani vindati, and one has to know it in one's own pure inner self during this human life. And now Krishna describes who is this ideal student or the seeker or aspirant. Shraddhavan labate gnanam. He says one who has faith gains this knowledge. Tatparaha labate gnanam. One who is enthusiastic, makes a lot of efforts, gains this knowledge. Sanyatendriya labate gnanam. One whose senses are under control gains this knowledge. And he says, Gnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. By knowing this knowledge, one achieves instantly eternal bliss. So faith in the scriptures of a Guru, Ishvara, is very important on the spiritual path, as there are many subjects which are beyond the imagination of a human mind. The student's enthusiasm will keep him or her on the journey, whereas without sense control there cannot be any progress on this path. So this knowledge or this understanding gives instant peace, and this is a real peace. But one who keeps doubting, the doubting mind does not gain this knowledge. Bhagavan says, Agnya cha ashraddha dhanascha. One who is ignorant, one who has no faith, sanshayatma vinashyati. And one who keeps doubting, he gets destroyed, does not attain the highest goal of human life. Na sukham sanshayatmanaha. And one who keeps doubting never becomes happy in this life. Nayam lokaha asti na paraha. Neither in this world nor in the other world. And doubts or sanshaya, which are based on faith or shraddha, not on ashraddha, is something that one helps to achieve our ultimate goal of life. The end of the Adhyaya, now benefit of the self-knowledge. Bhagavan says, Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam, one who has renounced all the karma by knowledge, by knowing his real Atma Swarupa, which is Akarta. Gnana Sanchinna Sanshayam, and all the doubts have been destroyed, evaporated by the self-knowledge. Atmavantam, those persons who have known their true selves. Na karmani nibatnanti dhananjaya. O Arjuna, those people do not get bound by karma. So this journey from karma yoga or pravritti to gnana yoga nivritti, in essence, the message that Krishna wants to give is that the spiritual journey starts with karma yoga, pravritti, and then later, after purifying our mind, the seeker commits himself or herself to the acquisition of the divine knowledge. On the path of knowledge, the gnana yoga or nivritti. And after the self-knowledge is obtained, all the karma are renounced, and the person continues to do karma without any bondage in this world. That's why what you need to do, Arjuna, he says, Tasmat agnana sambhutam vritstham. Therefore, the ignorance that is the root cause of all the doubts in your heart, Arjuna, gnanasina, with the sharp, firm sword of knowledge, enam chitva sanshayam atmanaha. Kill all your inner doubts, Arjuna. Yogam atishta uttishta bharata. And Arjuna, get up, practice this yoga of karma and gnana yoga. Stand up, get ready, and fight this war. Do your duty. This is your prime duty at this point of time. And these words are very similar to the words of Upanishadas, Uttishta Jagrata, Prapta Varan Nimodata. Arise, awake, and don't stop till your goal is achieved, made popular by Swami Vivekananda. So according to Vedanta, the root cause of all the doubts is ignorance of our true self, Atma Swarupa. And therefore the solution is to remove the ignorance from its root and attain the truth. This is possible only with the firm understanding of the self-knowledge. And this is only possible by the practice of yoga sadhana and having a learned guru in our life. So the main message of the fourth Adhyaya is to renounce our actions by the real understanding, gnana, with gnana, karma sannyasa, yoga. And that all actions, all the karma happens in our non-self, which is not the true self, which is called anatma, the body-mind complex. Whereas our true self, Atman, is the non-doer. It is akarta by its very nature, by its own swarupa. There are no actions, akarma, in Atma. While in actions, karma, we should always be aware of our actionless self. In the present moment, as I'm speaking to you and as you are listening to me, both of these are karma. And if you can do it as an instrument of the divine, with His grace, with the awareness and mindfulness, without the pride that I am speaking, I am listening, this is a step towards the divine. In our life, we need to work and do all our actions without attachments, and then we have to know this eternal divine knowledge without any doubts. And this can be a two-statement summary of the message of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We come to the end of the fourth Adhyaya. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे ज्ञानकर्मसन्न्यासयोगो नाम चतुर्थोऽध्यायः।